All right, we are gearing up for Adobe Illustrator number 2. And once again, this will be a 2-day project. You're going to see some things in this movie that will help get you all set to get going. Some of you might finish it on the first day, but I don't think everybody will. So as it turns out with this particular situation, you'll have some time in this class period and some time on Monday when I'm recording this movie. It's a Friday, Monday thing. So 2 class periods to work on this. Let's hop to Illustrator and look at what we're doing. This one is all text, and the goal of this assignment is to have you get very involved in using the type tool, the text tool in Adobe Illustrator. And if you look carefully on that artboard, you'll find my name. I have my first, middle, and last name on there. And then everything else is just stuff I like, stuff I enjoy, stuff I'm into. And this is exactly what I'm going to ask you, excuse me, to do as well. I want you to notice a couple of things. My name is on there. That has to be true. And I put a lot of stuff on there. We'll get into, well, how many things do I have to have? We'll get into that. But I also want you to notice that the page is full, right? There are not big empty gaps on the page. And that is a part of this assignment. You have to work with things like, well, first of all, thinking of a lot of ideas. That will help. But then also making some things bigger and some things smaller, and turning some things if you need to, and squeezing some things in if you need to do that, and stretching some things out if you need to fill the space. So part of what you're doing is working with empty space. I want you to fill it up. There is not a lot of empty space on that artboard. And I'll come back here in a minute and show you how to make the artboard and how to use the type tool and a lot about what your options are. But let's take a look at this next. Let's go. This is not posted on Google Classroom at the time that I'm recording this movie, but by the time you're watching this movie, it will be. This handout will be posted on Google Classroom. So this tells you about how to make the new artboard. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. And using the type tool, but I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. I'm not going to read this to you. You can pull it up and look at it if you want to. So here are the requirements. First of all, filling the page is a requirement. If you leave big empty gaps, you're going to lose some points. Everything in the design must be created with the type tool. There are no shapes, no photos, nothing from the internet on this. Hope you're paying attention. It's text only. That's what I want on this assignment. You have to include your first and last name on the page someplace, and how big they are and where you put them and what color they are and what font you use is up to you. But it's got to be on there somewhere, first and last. You can also use your middle name if you want. I'm not requiring that. Some people don't like their middle name and they don't want to put it on there. So, okay, whatever. Now, you may not use the font Myriad Pro. Here's why. That is the default font in Adobe Illustrator, and I just want you to change it. I do not want you to use that font. Use some other readable font. There are fonts that look like what's called wingdings and Korean and things like that, and I get people who think it's going to be real funny all the time to put their stuff in wingdings and Korean, and if you do that, you're not getting any points either. All right, so you can't use the font Myriad Pro, and you got to use a font that is readable. And then you fill the page up with stuff that you're into, stuff that you like. There are some options down here, but I'm going to demonstrate those here in a moment in Adobe Illustrator. Here's how it's going to be graded. This all has to do with filling the page and also the number of things that you think of. And don't limit yourself. It can be anything. Anything school appropriate is fine. So here's how it's going to be graded. If you have your name on the page and then you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if that's all you put on the page, that's a very poor effort. Not going to give you a whole lot of points for that. If you have your name on the page and you have 6, 7, 8, 9 different things that you like or you're into, well, you're getting better. 35 points for that. If you have your name on the page and you have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 items on the page that you like, things that you enjoy, things you're into, yeah, you're getting better. 40 points for that. And here's kind of your magic number for getting an A+ on this. It's a 50-point assignment. If you have your name on it and then you think of 15 or more, 15, 16, 17 on up, then you're at an A+ level. And you got to fill the page also. I've got some tips here about rotating text and how to fill it and things like that. I'm not going to read those tips to you. You can pull this handout up and read those if you want to. Saving is important. You save your work on your computer. Save as, save on your computer. Browse to the location of your choice. If you've started the Google Drive app, you can save it on your Google Drive. If you've hooked up your Google Drive, that'll work. Give it a file name of some kind and click Save. And then you have to submit that file on Google Classroom when you're all done. Let's go back over to Illustrator, and I'm going to close this. In fact, I might just close Illustrator and go back to Creative Cloud. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. You're going to fire up Illustrator. It's right here. Here's Illustrator. So once again, I won't say this very much longer in these movies, but don't do it in Photoshop. Do not do it in Photoshop. This is not a Photoshop assignment. So make sure you're firing up Illustrator. Here's what the splash screen ought to look like when you're loading. And here's how I recommend you get started. It's going to be a new file up here in the top left. New file. I would go to Print right here, and I would do Letter right here. So new file, print, letter. Now, the next thing you could do is decide whether you want it to be portrait or landscape orientation over here. I tend to prefer landscape orientation for this kind of thing. That turns the page sideways, but that is up to you. So it's new file, print, letter. I'm going to go landscape, and then I'm just going to click OK. Or create down here, sorry, create. And it's coming. There we go. All right, so it's a blank. This is called an artboard. In Illustrator, that's the terminology for it. It's an artboard. The type tool is right here, capital letter T on the toolbar. There it is. So here's what you want to do. You want to activate the type tool. Click on it or tap T on your keyboard. That'll do it as well. Come out here on your artboard. Click one time. Don't drag a box out. Click one time, and it's going to say Lorem Ipsum. It does that automatically. Photoshop was like that too. Backspace that and make it say what you want. I'm going to put my first name on there. Now, here's what you ought to do next when you're thinking about changing fonts, changing colors, changing size. Here's what I would do. You get it typed, and you switch to your black arrow. When you click on the black arrow, it will give you those handles around the type, and you can just eyeball it, right? I mean, there are ways over here on the Properties panel, you can set the type size. There's a setting for the actual type size, and you can do that if you want to, but you can also just use your black arrow tool and just eyeball that and just size it however you want, all right? And you can use the black arrow tool to put it wherever you want. That's going to be up to you. That's part of this assignment, is arranging things the way you want it arranged. All right, now let's talk some other things. Remember that I mentioned you cannot use the font Myriad Pro. Well, all right, so over here on the character panel, it says Myriad Pro right here. If you drop that down, you will see a variety of fonts there. And your list probably will not match my list. Right? These are kind of customizable, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. But you can kind of scroll through all of this and look for a font that you like. And one of the things that you'll find is on this assignment, if you want to use the same font for the whole thing, that's fine. You can, as long as it's not Myriad Pro. Or if you want to mix the fonts up, that's good too. Just for this demo, I'm going to use this ethnocentric, and I'm not sure you have that font. I do. I'm not sure you do. All right, so I'm going to click that. Now, color. Right over here on the appearance panel, it's saying it's filled with black, right? So I can click there, and I can make it filled with whatever I want. I'll just go with yellow. Now, on the stroke down here, this little box that has the slash through it means there's no stroke, no outline to it, and that's really up to you. I mean, it doesn't have to have a stroke, but I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to I'll just give it a black stroke. And then over here where it says 1 point, let me pull my text over here and move it again here in a minute. So I've got a black stroke and it's 1 point, right? But I could bump that up and make it thicker if I wish. And so you can set that to whatever you want. So I've got a yellow fill and a black stroke, and I did a 5-point stroke, so it made the outline a little bit thicker. All right, so I can just kind of pop that on wherever I want. Now, here's a thing that could be helpful on this assignment. Let's imagine that I'm going to put my last name on here, and I really kind of want it to look very much the same. I want to use the same font. I like the color and all that kind of thing. Okay, so here's what I would do. Black arrow tool on the toolbar. Hold down the Alt key on the keyboard. We've done this in the previous assignment. Press the Alt key down and drag that name, and it will duplicate it. All right, so now I don't want two things on here with my first name, so I'll double click on that, and when I double click on it, it kind of automatically changes. Illustrator knows this is a type object, and so it automatically changed over here to the type tool, and I can just edit this. I can get in here and just like backspace it out or whatever. And all right, I've got it retyped now, so I'm going to switch to my black arrow. Anytime you're ready to start like moving it around or making it bigger or smaller, switch to the black arrow tool and do it that way, right? Use your black arrow tool to move things and size things and all that. All right, and I might just do an Alt drag one more time here, and I'm going to put my middle name on here, so I'll double click and just use some arrow keys. Middle name is Alan. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to I switched to my black arrow, and I'm going to point to the corner handle. And if you carefully point to a corner handle, you'll see your mouse arrow turn to a curve. And we talked about this in the other assignments as well. You can rotate things, so I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to size that just a little bit, and I'll just kind of slide that like right in there. But when it comes to how big you make it and where you put it and do you rotate it or not and all that kind of thing, that's up to you. I want you to have the opportunity to be creative, and so that's going to be your call, right? So I've got my first, middle, and last name. So now what I would do is I would continue just to start, go on thinking of things that I like and things I'm into, and it can be anything. Don't limit yourself. Food, drink, shows, teams, just all kinds of things, right? Brainstorm with yourself. So I'll just click in here once. And let's say that I like IndyCar racing. Okay, yay. So I'll take my black arrow and maybe I'll make that a little bit bigger and wider so you can stretch things kind of however you want. I'm going to make IndyCar fit right under here. I'm kind of stretching it out, but that's okay. I don't mind. And I'll make it red. Right? But do whatever you want with color, and if you want everything to be the same color, that's fine. If you want things to be different colors, great. If you want to switch fonts up, great. Or you can use the same, you just can't use Myriad Pro. So I'm going to take the type tool again, and I'm going to click in a spot. And I'm also, whether it's a good thing or not a good thing. I'm a Colts fan. Oh, boy. We'll see how that goes. I think I have to make that blue, don't I? I'll make that a shade of blue, and I don't know, I'll just put that like up in here, right? And a couple other things I want to show you about the type tool, and then one other thing on a website, and then I'm out of here. So let's take that type tool again, and let's say that I really like, I like pizza. Big fan, right? Now you can. Again, if you wish, and use, sorry I'm saying it a lot, but use whatever colors you want. And if you want, adding an outline or a stroke to it can be nice, but that's going to be your call as well. And if you point to a corner, you can rotate. That sometimes takes a little practice, but if you work on it, you can get it. You can do it. All right, so I'm going to put pizza in there. Now I want to show you this. If I go to the type tool with my mouse and I press and hold for a second, now let's not worry about this type on a path tool. That's not really something we're going to get into on this assignment, but I do want to show you this. I want to show you the vertical type tool. It's not a big surprise, but I want to show it to you. All right, so the vertical type tool, I'm going to click that. And let's say that I like all of the Star Trek franchise. I think I've mentioned that, Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Strange New Worlds and all that. So I'm just going to click once, and I'm going to type Star Trek. Take my black arrow tool, and the thing that, I mean, again, this cannot be a surprise because it's called the vertical type tool. You see what it did? It put the letters vertically instead of putting them horizontally, and you can do that if you want to, if that would be helpful for you as you're designing this thing. Maybe I'll make that like an orange color and throw a little bit of a stroke on it, and yay, off we go. So you see how this is coming together. Now, here's, one last thing that I'm wrapping it up here. So I'm going to go, let's go back here, and I'm going to open a new tab on my browser. There is well, I had the caps lock on, but that's okay. That'll work. You can go to a website called fonts.adobe.com, and press enter on that, and we'll get there. And I don't know if it's going to automatically sign me in or not. It did not, I don't believe. Nope. So here's what you would do if you want to use this website. You don't have to use it, but you can use it if you want. You go up here to this little blue pie looking thing, and you're going to, oh, actually it did sign me in. Let me sign out real quick so I can show you probably what it's going to look like for you. Up here in the top right side, it'll say sign in, right? So you're going to do that, and it's going to be a continue with Google. No. Here, I'm going to do my, I'm just going to use my school address. You guys will be able to do continue with Google. This is the company account. And so you can just sign in to this fonts.adobe.com, and you will see it's loading. All right. Yay. So we've got all these fonts. And over here on the left-hand side, there are like these filter tag things, different classifications and filters and things that you can use. So let's say that I want something like a brush. There's a category here called brush pen. So if I click that, all of the fonts that it's going to locate are kind of look like they were, written with a brush or a pen or however you want to say that. So here's how you would use them. Like if I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, I like this one right here. It's called Chonky. That's the name of the font, right? So the name of the typeface. Chonky. And there's a button here that says add family. So I'm going to do that. And it says fonts added to Adobe Apps. And yeah, just click OK on this. And then if you go back here to Illustrator and I drop my fonts list, and I hope it doesn't make a liar out of me here. I'm scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Well, it is kind of making a liar. This should work. When you do it at school, I think it's going to work. I'm doing it at home. I think it's going to work fine. But anyway, when you activate a font from here, when you activate it, it should show up on your list. Probably what I would have to do in this case is actually close Illustrator and restart it, and then it would show up. But I don't think you'll have to do that at school. I think that if you just activate a font, it kind of live updates, and it will just be there for you. Sorry that happened that way here. I'm pretty sure it's just because I am working. Well, maybe I just didn't look far enough. Did I not look far? Yeah, because there's Chuck and Chonky should have been right there. All right. Anyway, let's move on. So that's a possibility, right? So when you get all done, you should have something sort of like that. And it's going to be a 2-day deal, right? You're going to have time to work on it in this class period and in the next class period. So let's go to work.